tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
All right. Welcome to the 100 After Show on AfterBuzz TV.
Where we are taking you to church.
We are taking you to church on the 100. I'm Ben Bateman. I'm going to be your lead host today. Our good friend Tari J is not here. He's a little under the weather, so he's missing the week. And yeah, I'm going to be taking over for him for this week. So joining me, as always, going forward, is Vivian Adoabi.
Hello, everyone. Vivian Adoabi here to recap tonight's episode with you. We're so excited. We have a lot in store, so stay tuned.
Yes, very, very exciting episode. We're just we're winding towards the finale of the season, or the mid-season finale, I guess I should say. And yeah, really exciting week on all things the 100 for us. There's a lot going on. The episode's very exciting. We had a little bit of interaction with the cast via social media this week, which was really exciting.
A lot of interaction.
Yes, that's really cool. And this episode was very cool. You know, we did not actually get a death, right? Nobody died.
We didn't. Well, we kind of did, because at one point Lincoln did look like he was gone. He looked like a goner.
Technically, yeah, he died technically. That's true.
Going back to the writers, just how they have all these tricks up their sleeves, of course they would let him die and then bring him back to life.
So they could say somebody dies, right?
Right.
Yeah. They were tweeting, there's going to be guaranteed tears. And I'm sure people were crying for, about a minute and a half, and then he was back alive again. So,
well, Octavia had all the tears in the world for all of us, so I'm pretty sure it was just her.
Yeah, so we will get right into episode 7, Into the Long Abyss here. But before we do, just like last week, I kind of wanted to give a quick shout out to our fans on social media, our YouTube fans, Twitter, etc. And you guys are really stepping up and getting involved and telling us what you like and you don't like. And last week was a great episode for us. It was our first episode with Vivian.
Yes, my first episode here. And thank you all for the shout outs and your comments on our YouTube video. Definitely appreciate the warm welcome and happy that we're delivering a better podcast and that you guys are really excited about what we're doing here.
Yeah, definitely really awesome. We tried to last week kind of tailor our approach. I think we've had the same opinions all along, but we kind of tried to tailor our approach to be a little bit more balanced, I guess, with positives and negatives. And I think it was really great. I watched the episode and I thought I liked the way that it felt. So
I did too.
Yeah.
It's a good balance, good vibe that we have going on. So thank you all for contributing and giving us the information we need to know to make this better for you.
Yeah, super exciting. So before we get into episode 7, it should be noted, a couple weeks ago, we called out Lindsay Morgan via a song at the end of an episode.
Yes.
And this week, she and Jason Rothenberg, the creator, they responded, as did Ricky Whittle, who plays Lincoln, and that was really exciting for us. They're kind of getting involved and chatting with us about the show, which is a lot of fun. Hopefully we can get one of them on the show.
Or all of them.
Or all of them. Yeah.
Feel free. Come all at once, one per episode, whatever you like. We want to see you here.
All welcome at all times. So we have another special surprise prepared at the end of the episode. Make sure to tune in all the way towards the end. But without further ado, let's get into this episode, Into the Long Abyss, episode 7. So we start out in a meadow just outside of Mount Weather. And there's a girl character that I don't think we've seen before.
I feel like she's just another person that's in Mount Weather, which is possibly why she's so disposable, as we can see later on in that sequence.
Yeah, so a pretty gruesome sequence where Cage, the son of President Wallace, and is Dr. Singh, right? That's her name?
Yes, Dr. Singh, the crazy one.
Yeah, who they're increasingly making more and more evil and devious.
I kind of like that she's evil and devious and she's a female doctor.
Well, as is the theme with the show, all the strong characters, one way or another, they're like all female.
That's why the show's so great.
Every one of them, right? So this girl goes out in a meadow and she gets the crazy radiation poisoning burns. And they, Cage, they gave him a little bit of a redemption moment as he was like, well, we should admit she's going to talk. And Cage, okay, we'll let her die so we can study.
Yeah.
Really gruesome show. I mean, we've seen a lot of stuff. And she's screaming in pain, and they focus on it for a while. So anyway, that's where the show starts.
But before we move on from that real quick, we have to address how eerie it was at the very beginning when, you know, it opens up and it's so ethereal and lighthearted, and it doesn't feel like the 100.
I totally agree. And you know what it actually reminds me of? And I'm just going to abandon the label that I've been throwing this whole time of, you know, this is really good for a CW show. I'm going to strike it from the record, guys. I'm sorry if I ever said that. I am totally past it now. I think the show is just really, really good. I mean, I'm totally impressed week to week. And very occasionally one of those moments, you know, those like sort of teen drama moments slips in for me, but almost never anymore. And this beginning felt like an episode of Lost or something.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. It reminded me of Lost and how sometimes you'd watch and you would forget that they were lost.
Yeah.
You would forget the whole premise of the movie or of the story. And that's what I felt at the beginning of the show. But then when she started getting all of everything that started to happen to her body, it reminds us back to, okay, we are watching the 100 and she is probably going to die.
Yeah, totally. 100%. So yeah, that happens. They observe and she perishes. And we actually transition to Camp Jaha, but I think we'll try to kind of cover all the Mount Weather storylines maybe first.
Yeah, definitely.
Interestingly enough, in this episode, as has not been the case recently, we didn't jump around as much. The show, because the different parties have all been kind of divided for so long, it felt like every episode you've got kind of 4 storylines happening at once. Whereas this one was multiple storylines, but it was really just 2 locations, which was good. It was like what's happening at Camp Jaha and then what's happening in Mount Weather. And
it was much more streamlined. Yeah,
for that reason, though it was kind of weird, the juxtaposition, I thought, right, of the 2 stories. Like the kids, it's like hackers, art heist, and the other is like, we're all gonna die if we don't make a truce.
But that's what made it so dynamic.
Yeah,
because you have that juxtaposition of the lighthearted, the happy, well, not happy, but you know, it kind of reminds me of like going back to being a teen drama. This is something that we would see more on a teen quote unquote show, but then the juxtaposition of the heaviness of what Clark and Camp Jaha, what they were going through,
right, 100%.
Kept us going.
Totally agree. So so we see the kids all talking about how they've all been getting poked and prodded and their blood's been getting drained, and this is while Dr. Singh and Cage have had this discussion that we need to harvest all their bone marrow.
And speaking about that, I was kind of surprised Jasper and Monty were able to convince that many people to do it. Granted, it was only 2 or 3 that we saw in the image, but I didn't think they would convince anyone to go on with their plan.
Well, because initially they weren't interested, but then maybe Jasper explained to everybody, look, guys, we have no way out and we're all going to die, and you need to get on board so we can buy time, and I can't just keep having my blood drained.
Right.
We need some of your blood too.
I'm going to die too.
Like blood for cake is good, but I can't eat that much cake. Is a metaphor. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway,
I think there is a metaphor there, because going back to the juxtaposition, we have blood that's really crucial to Mount Weather, the blood from the 47, and then going to Camp Jaha and what's happening with the Grounders, blood for blood.
Right.
I don't know. I find some sort of connection there that I just haven't delved deep enough into yet.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you had some full circle with Lincoln back being in the same position that he was in the first season. Yeah, they like to do that, it seems like. Give you the circular or the parallel sort of things. But we'll get to that in a second. So they go into kind of, hackers mode where Monty is... Monty? Yeah, Monty. Where Monty is, like going, I'm really good at this computer thing. And Jasper's like, we're clever. We're great thieves. Like, it was fun. It was totally fun. It felt completely different from what was happening on the other side of the show. And so they break into President Wallace's office because...
Which looks really... It doesn't look like an office of a leader of a mountain full of hundreds of people.
Right.
It looks like, someone's office in their home where they greet their guests, or it's very more calm.
Well, they keep sort of building and showing us, we said this last week, they're showing us kind of the more human side of President Wallace. And so they like to illustrate that a lot. I did think it was interesting that within about 2 episodes, Cage, his son, is getting a little softer, like not all the way, he's still kind of evil, but you kind of get both sides. And it's, once again, like we keep saying, it's really nice that they're giving us a little bit more of like a we just want to live vibe from these characters. That, I mean, Singh is really evil, it seems like, but
no, she's just gonna be evil.
Yeah, but I mean, from President Wallace and his son, I definitely get the feeling that, I mean, I still think they're wrong, but I kind of get on board a little bit more with it.
I am too, especially going back to the human elements,
empathy.
That's
what I mean.
there too. Even just when you can see that the president is struggling to think about the decision, and he's painting and thinking and painting and thinking, or when he was outside, when he went outside with Cage and he's just sitting there, and you can kind of see the internal struggle he's having in his brain about what he should do, but he still stands firm with his decision and shows that empathetic side that we didn't see earlier in previous season.
Yeah, I completely agree. So the last thing we see from this storyline is that they find some video on his computer, some pictures that prove to the kids that the Ark Station A, or was that like Station A? Yeah.
Yes.
That basically their people are alive, and so they're renewed faith. I don't think they saw Clark. I don't think they know if Clark's alive yet.
Yeah, Clark wasn't in the picture, but going back to faith, the key word here in the whole episode, that must have been so like liberating for Jasper, because he's kind of been the one within the 47 leading, saying that Clark is out there, she's working for us. We have to have I can't speak English today. We have to have faith. And then they see it. They actually see an image that can renew anyone who was lacking the belief that there's people out there who are looking for them and fighting for them, that they're still there and that they should keep trying. Yeah,
so this whole sequence ends with two things. President Wallace goes outside with Cage, and Wallace kind of has this moment where he's like, sort of considering it, and he's smart, so he can see that he's trying to be kind of manipulated by his son. He's, don't tell me. What do we have to do? We have to kill all of them. We have to take all their bone marrow and kill the 47 to stay alive. President Wallace kind of, no, we're not going to do that as much as I want to be out here. And that has this ominous ending as their interaction.
Yeah.
Very like Cage sort of looks at him. And so there's that. And then the other part, definitely the most terrifying part of this episode.
The grossest part. I wish everyone could see my reaction. I feel bad for Ben having to deal with it. I couldn't
see her reaction because she was covering her face with a notepad.
I was like this the whole time, just covering my face, trying not to scream.
It was pretty
so gross.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of really gruesome stuff on this show. The scene where Clark tears her stitches out. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff. But this one took the cake. It was like watching a scene at a hostel or something.
Yes.
It was just like, oh my goodness. It was really gory. So what we're saying is Harper, who's a newly introduced kid character in Mount Weather. I'm sure we've seen her, but she had like the most lines in this episode.
Right.
And ultimately, it's interesting that they gave us such a lighthearted storyline in Mount Weather, like with the kids and their kind of heist, and then that.
Of course, because it's the 100. They have to do something like that. And I knew something was going to happen to her when Jasper's like, "Oh no, you stand in the hallway and stand guard." I was like, something's going to go wrong with her. Something's going to happen. They're going to steal her. She's going to get caught. I didn't think that was going to happen.
So what ends up happening is the last moment of the episode is she's like face down and she's locked up on like basically the surgery table, and Dr. Singh and Cage are in there, and Dr. Singh cuts into her with a scalpel and is like, "This won't hurt," and then starts drilling into her body for her bone marrow, and she's screaming, and then the episode ends, and it's
blood curdling, like it's disgusting. And they're so advanced with science. I'm like, where's the anesthesia? Why? I mean, granted, they don't care. Dr. Singh obviously doesn't care about the 47 in their lives, but I mean, if you're gonna do all of that to her, at least let her suffer quietly. Or not so much.
Yeah, definitely. That was kind of turned my stomach just a little bit. But so yeah, that's I guess pretty much the end of the. One sort of funny thing is I was reading something this week, and I guess it was Devin Bostek, who plays Jasper.
Okay. At
one point pitched as kind of a joke, I think, an art heist episode to Rothenberg, like kind of a funny art heist, and this is like almost that.
I can understand that. There is kind of a feel of even just the way that they entered into the office, and even the decor of the office. I could totally believe it was based off an art heist. Plot. Yeah,
it was funny. I mean, it was very smart. The show continues to be intelligent. So, real quick before we move on to everything awesome with Lincoln and the excess and all that, I want to talk about iTunes. So we are available on iTunes. Every AfterBuzz show is available on iTunes, and it's very, very important for us that you guys go on and give us ratings and leave comments, and you leave 5-star ratings if you like it. If you don't, you're interacting with us via iTunes and YouTube. We we love it, and we love to hear from you guys and see how we're doing, what we're doing well, what we're not doing well. So just a big plug for iTunes. Check it out. Go, there's tons of shows you can check out.
There's hundreds of shows.
And there's lots of good stuff on iTunes.
Hundreds of shows, not just the 100. There's hundreds of shows.
Yeah. So do that, and tweet at us and Lindsay Morgan often if you can. Just kidding, but not really. We're gonna move on to the next part of the episode. So Camp Jaha starts out, and there's a little bit of a power struggle between Kane and Abby. With she is the acting chancellor, and they completely skipped, by the way, any of the like sort of empty rhetoric of like, how did you get here, Jaha? And he's like, I flew down in a rocket. Like they just didn't even show it to you.
Because I think at this point so much has happened to them that it's kind of like, okay, well, I don't know how you got here, train, plane, whatever. You're here, so let's move forward and make something happen.
Yeah, I didn't ultimately feel like we needed it. I just thought it was sort of funny that we just didn't even hear the conversation. You survived in a rocket? Really?
You're alive.
Yeah. So there's that, and they're struggling over. Jaha wants to pack up and leave because they've found out that the grounders are going to be there by dawn to kill all of them if they don't leave. And Abby is sort of like, I don't want to just abandon the 47 kids and abandon Kane. And ultimately, there is a power struggle that happens a little later in the episode where Jaha tries to assert himself.
Right, he tries to puff up his chest and take back power.
Yeah, and kind of muscle in, and Abby has to say no. And ultimately, the guards side with Abby on this one. So, what did you think of that whole sort of bit of it, the plotline?
I found it very interesting considering how kind of docile Jaha seemed in the previous episode. He seemed like he was a more level-headed one. He was trying to be peaceful and find other methods. But then here he comes back and we kind of see the old Jaha that we didn't see last episode, more, my way or the highway kind of.
Right.
And understandably, he wants to save his people. He's seen what they can do, and he's nervous, he's scared, and he feels like it's the only way. But I found it really interesting how much faith, going back to that word, keyword of the episode, how much faith Abby had in Clark, because they didn't really have much proof.
I trust my daughter, she says, yeah.
Move forward. And I'm sure that struck a nerve with Jaha, because it's not like he can, his son is gone. His son is dead, and it's in relation to everything that's happened with them. So to see that she's basing her decision off of her faith in her daughter, I don't know, I feel like that was really powerful and understated.
It's interesting to me that so many of the characters in this show have this learning curve. They all sort of go through the same thing, where the kids got down first, they had to go through it all, so they got really tough and really hardened. And now when they deal with life, it's like you can really see they improvise and they know how hard it is. And at first, Abby and a lot of the other adults, when they first landed, they were a little apprehensive to trust the kids. And now it's like come full circle. Abby kind of trusts her daughter. She understands. But Jaha is brand new.
Very true.
He's been on the ground, but he's just assimilating to the same realizations that they've already come to. And so everything he's doing, you feel like he's really kind of slow on the curve. Like within an episode or two, it's like you kind of feel like if he's alive still, he'll catch up. And it's interesting that they're making him flawed and weaker finally, because there's this real nobleman sort of element they've given him, where he's so altruistic and trying to sacrifice himself for the good of the people so much.
Definitely.
And to see him sort of trying to like step in front of Abby, like I got a little bit of that weak, you're not as pure as we thought vibe tonight.
I can see where it's going with that.
Character depth, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, there's that struggle. At the same time, you have Zombie Lincoln, which is
poor Lincoln.
Yeah, so I tweeted at Ricky Whittle today, and I was like, I can't wait for tonight's episode, because I saw the preview, and he's all red-eyed and 28 days later on us, and he was like, I still have like scrapes and bruises and tears on my wrists and ankles from filming that stuff. So I guess he was really going for it.
He looked like it. That looked so intense, totally believable. I was flabbergasted, but shout out to him for the acting. Well done.
Yeah, he was very good. Definitely very terrifying and
menacing.
I just like this direction to take his character, to me, was really cool. I really liked zombie cannibal Reaper Lincoln. Like I don't know, it was genuinely frightening.
Yes, it was petrifying.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. You have him chained up, and he's trying to kind of wean himself off the drug. well, he's not trying to wean himself off. They're trying to wean him off the drug. And he's locked up in the upper part of the dropship, which is where he was originally chained up when they were torturing him at the beginning of the first season. And it's kind of that whole full circle vibe.
Right.
Something I noticed in this, by the way, and I know I read an article last week, I can't remember who wrote it, talking about the concept in storytelling of a strong female character.
Okay.
Which essentially is a really sexist notion that, like, for a female to be strong, she has to kind of act like a male, essentially.
Yeah. Okay.
That's like what it was suggesting.
Not agreeing, but
this is the article was suggesting, and they were saying that in this show they don't, and so it's almost like the stigma of a strong female character is kind of, it's like diminishing the importance of them just as a character by they're only relevant as a female because they're strong, sort of. And so I was just noticing tonight, thinking about, since they've definitely taken the foot off the gas with Octavia since the first season. She's less of a featured character.
Yes.
But I really liked her acting tonight. I thought she did a great job. Like, she really knocked it out of the park. I really felt the pain, and it was understated. She didn't have too many lines, and she did a great job with it. So, like, definitely hats off to her. Right,
definitely, because just her facial expressions, the tears, when she was in the corner, we mentioned last week, we predicted that, you know, it would be really trying for her this episode, trying to bring him back. And, you know, you were saying that Lincoln might eat her. I knew she was going to be overwhelmed. I didn't realize she would be as strong as she was this episode, where she was able to, you know, kind of fight him a little bit when he did break loose from the chains. But you could tell that their relationship actually, there's a lot more depth to it than maybe we've given them credit for.
Right.
So that was really good to see. And for everyone who's been saying that we're against Linktavia, we're not. We're for it. Well, you know, it changes every episode, but we can say that they're becoming more, you know, there's more depth coming to their relationship.
They're becoming more integral to, like, I thought the last two episodes, the way that they used their relationship and Lincoln as a character and Octavia as a character has been great, and I'm totally on board with it, and I like it. So that's pretty cool. They try to, so she goes outside, and Nico, the healer from the Grounder tribe, grabs her and he says, hey, the scouts are here. If you guys don't leave, you're all going to die. They're serious. What's that? Lincoln's inside. He goes inside and he says, you know, I can help him. And he, like, almost poisons him. And, you know, I think Clark recognizes what he's saying.
Because Clark is just a G, and she just knows everything. And she catches the words that he says and knows exactly what he's talking about, the poison.
Yeah, she's a genius. G
for genius.
Yeah. So she gets it, and she stops him. And Nico's like, no Reaper has ever recovered. And, you know, that's what happens. And... so basically at the same time, Clark has to go off to meet with, so after we see after we see Jaha and Abby have their power struggle, Abby orders Jaha to be locked up in the stockade and sends Clark off to meet with the commander, because Clark thinks that she can save the day by suggesting a way to turn Reapers into people again.
And this is all based off of what is happening with Lincoln in the stock ship.
Yes, and they believe that they're going to be able to fix Lincoln. This is before his, like, minute and a half death. So she goes off to meet with the commander, and Jaha's locked up, and she believes they're going to be able to fix Lincoln. So when she comes back after she has, like, a pretty intense interaction with the commander.
We have to talk about this intense.
Well, we'll get there.
Okay.
I just want to, like, recap exactly, then we can talk about pieces of it. So she gets back after having this intense interaction with the commanders, and when she does get back, Lincoln has died. They shock him. He wakes up. And that is where the episode sort of ends. There's, like, a little tag we can talk about at the end. But let's, like, break this down piece by piece.
Okay.
So first, you have Lincoln struggling and Clark going off. And while Lincoln is struggling and he's dying and Nico tries to kill him, I'll let you take over there.
Okay, so I found it really interesting how, of course, Bellamy's first reaction is grab the gun, aim it, like he's ready to battle,
right,
to protect everyone within the stock ship. And to see how the bravery and the courage that Octavia then exhibited to keep everything calm and keep the focus on Lincoln, and Clark being there as well, that was a lot, because that was very intense. I really thought Nico would kill him.
Yeah.
He's just such a big, forbidding character. And then, of course, after seeing all of his people being killed and knowing that Bellamy was a part of that, I just thought he was going to slit everyone's throats and walk out of there and be like, sorry, Lincoln.
I was nice, you know, because when they're walking away from the village 2 episodes ago and Finn's just murdered a bunch of people, Nico's like, he's grieving and crying on the ground, which is totally understandable and acceptable at the time. It was good to see the anger, though. It was like nice to see the reality of like, you murdered my people, like I want to kill you. And that was great. I totally appreciated that moment. So he gets like tased essentially and like knocked out, and they're kind of going through the motions,
giving a little nap.
Yeah, and Lincoln dies for a minute, and it's very tragic.
Hearts drop, you know, tears
now,
spew.
I think he's such a fan favorite that I really didn't believe he was dead. I didn't think they would kill him that way, you know.
I didn't think so either. I feel like it's too early in their love story to knock him off now, especially since we are becoming more and more attached to their love story since last episode.
The Beauty and the Beast storyline that we definitely called that, you know, but she didn't really, it wasn't like she actually, so it wasn't really that story. She didn't just like wake him up from his trance by being, you know, his love. He actually had to like come off the drugs.
As many people in life do.
Yeah. So, but he dies, and as somebody tweeted earlier today, I'm afraid Lincoln's gonna die, and I said, I think what did I say? I was something like, I don't think, you know, it's going to happen. This show is too smart for that simple of an out. But then I was also like, but you also never know. It keeps surprising me. And honestly, had he died this way, it would have been pretty just harsh and brutal and like kind of, you just don't see deaths like that from prominent characters in shows very often.
Definitely.
Where they're not emphasized. They just sort of happen. So it would have surprised me, but I didn't really believe it.
And they couldn't do that to the audience. Like, I, for one, would have been completely upset because aside from Raven being the baddest, my favorite character, Lincoln is in a close second. He's up there. So I, as a fan, if he had died this episode, I would have been
upset.
Oh, so upset.
You would have quit the panel.
I would have quit the panel, tossed my papers up the air, threw all the mugs, and tweeted mean things to the writers for killing my Lincoln. But luckily that didn't happen. So.
And Linktavia's still alive.
Linktavia's still alive. We're still here, and no papers have been thrown.
So so he wakes up just at the moment when Abby like last minute shocks his chest and
11th hour.
Yeah, exactly. Just a full on Hail Mary, and he wakes up. And Octavia is so relieved, and the commander, who, let's talk about their meeting actually before we get to this.
Yes, because their meeting was, I feel like there was so much gravity to their meeting because they look like they're about the same age.
Right.
Commander, I believe her name was Alexa. They look like they're about the same age, kind of a similar build too.
Right.
So just the juxtaposition of those two characters being strong female leaders, young leaders, and then having to see eye to eye. Right. That was pretty big.
A lot of it, yeah. The leaders of the Grounders are all women. It's crazy. There's so many strong female characters.
Strong female characters.
And we'll just say strong characters that happen to be female.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the more appropriate way to do it. On this show, it's like they just no end. So, yeah, they meet, and you definitely... I didn't really think anything was going to go down, but, you know, it was like a necessary scene. Well acted. I like Lexa. I think that actress does a great job. I wish I had written her name down, but
the kind of the guard character. So is that who you're talking about next?
Lexa, I'm talking about. I wish
Lexa.
I wish I had written the actress's name down. But I like her as a character. I think she's good. She's believable. She's very solid. So they all go back to the ship, and there's like this interaction, and Lincoln wakes up. So she says, "You can have your truce, but you need to give me Finn, because Finn murdered a bunch of people, and our truce starts once you give me Finn. He needs to die."
The ultimate caveat.
Yeah. And so earlier in the episode, there's like this moment where like Clark is talking to Bellamy and Finn. Bellamy says, "Come with me." And Finn's like, "These Grounders want to kill us. It's my fault." And she says, "It's not your fault." And he's like, when Lincoln wakes up, and this is obviously he's the whole metaphor that he's talking about Lincoln is about himself. He says when Lincoln wakes up, he's not going to be able to forget the things that he's done. And Clark says, "Yeah, he won't, but you know he can get over it. People can get over it, or something like that."
And you can get over it. That's what she was also saying as well.
And it's sort of, we can talk about it in predictions a little bit, but I kind of foresee a little bit of a, if that romance the fires get stoked a little. I think we all see Bellark coming in the future at some point.
I smell it coming.
Yeah. That little triangle could create something really nice. They also might be setting up some sort of something the next episode with, like, you know, personnel trading or something like that. Well, we'll give you this for Finn, something. I don't really know. But
well, going back to Finn, like from the last episode, he's become more emotionally unstable.
Right.
He looks like he's becoming self-sacrificial. Like,
yeah,
he's not sure about the worthiness of his own life because of everything that he's done. And it becomes more apparent in this episode too, just the way he's down, the way he interacts with people,
right,
his language, his body language. And now that they're saying that, you know, his life will commence the truce, I feel like he's not gonna, you know, leave his people hanging.
Yeah, I definitely think the next episode is titled Remember Me. I'm fairly certain that's the 8th episode, which is like a fitting name for a prime character going out, some sort of sacrificial moment. And if that is the case, we've been predicting Finn's going to die for a while. On the other hand, that's what this show loves to do is, and we referenced that article last week from Hypable that talks about the progression of his character and how it seems to be more obvious than it actually is. So yeah, we'll see about that.
And we can go further into that when we get to the predictions.
Yeah. So I think we probably can get to the predictions.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're here.
All right.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV.
I guess feel like shimmying here.
So I will allude first to the thing I just mentioned, which is that I think there is going to be some kind of a sacrifice. Like, I don't think Finn's actually going to die. I used to think he was, and I think they're teasing us with an episode called Remember Me. I think someone else will die. I don't think they're going to kill Bellamy, but somebody, maybe Jaha?
Ooh.
Maybe Jaha sacrifices himself to save Finn or something. I mean, that wouldn't make a ton of sense, but...
Weirder things have happened.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something shocking is going to happen at the end of the 8th episode. It just feels like they're building towards like a big moment. It's the mid-season finale. So I think there will be a personnel trade of some kind. That's the first one that comes to mind for me. You got one?
Definitely going along that lines. Again, I do feel like I feel like the truce isn't going to happen. I'm not sure why. I feel like something's going to happen and Finn's not going to die. It looks like from the preview that Clark is trying to intercede. She's not going to die. They're not going to kill Clark.
No.
The truce isn't going to happen, and more chaos is going to happen from this. But I want to know. I'm itching to see what it is that creates that schism.
Yeah, that will be interesting to see. I'm also thinking, I got this weird feeling tonight in the episode that President Wallace is going to die.
Maybe he could be the one. I can totally see where you're going with that.
Cage maybe kills him.
I feel like it wouldn't even be Cage. I feel like Dr. Singh might,
kill him.
Might do it herself.
She's pretty evil.
She's pretty deep into that. She's kind of manipulating Cage at this point.
I'd say so, yeah.
To kind of brainwashing him to make sure that he goes through with what she wants to happen. Not that it's... I mean, if I was in her position, maybe I'd feel the same way, but I wouldn't put it past her to find a way to end the president's life so that she can move forward with her science.
Yeah, something else. I mean, I think that covers my predictions. Do you have another one, or?
That was pretty much it.
Pretty much it?
Oh, I feel like Lincoln and Octavia are going to have like a makeout session or something crazy. You're alive again.
It will literally break Twitter. I mean, this show is, so as of last week, this is in the top 5 most tweeted about shows on television.
That's crazy.
And it is the number 1 CW show tweeted about. So it's definitely this is like a hot point for people who love it, and they love to tweet about it on social media. And I think that the Bellark, the Clark and Bellamy hug the week before it even happened was on. I mean, I follow a bunch of like the Instagram accounts, the fan accounts,
right? And
every one of them was just posting all day, just stills of them hugging, and just like little memes of like them saying things. Like,
fans are loyal. The 100s fans, we are including ourselves in that bunch.
Yeah, 100%.
Super, super loyal, super, super enthusiastic about every single episode, every single couple. It's exciting.
It is really exciting. So, that kind of covers predictions for me. So what we're going to get to here is basically a few weeks ago we did the song for Lindsay Morgan, and we just heard back on Sunday. She tweeted back and she said she really liked it, and Jason Rothenberg, the creator of the show, he tweeted at us as well, and he was like, great job. And so Lindsay Morgan I was like, come on the show, come hang out with us.
Hang out with us.
Yeah, come hang out. And she was like, I think Rothenberg needs a song too. And I don't know if she was being literal, but I said a deal is a deal. So a deal is a deal. I got another song. This one's for Jason Rothenberg that we're gonna do right now on the show. Hopefully this is this is what we were hoping for. So this song is for you, Jason Rothenberg, at the request of Lindsay Morgan.
Yes.
I'm gonna get the guitar here.
And while he's getting the guitar, I heard him practice. It's a good one. It's really good. If I was Jason right now, I'd be making my plans to come to AFTERBUZZ, because this is what you need to hear and what you need to see.
You're hyping me up. You're hyping me up. All right. Let's give this one a shot. It's for you, Jason Rothenberg. Oh, lyrics. Let's get the lyrics out. That'd be
They're
smart,
kind of
wouldn't it?
important.
All right, here we go. Here we are, another Wednesday night, and I check my phone and it's almost time to wait. Every week is worth it. Story told is a crazy ride, from the kids we love to the words you write. Nah, I'm just a fan that noticed all of the things talk about. We say your name out loud. You got the best job in the whole world, and there's no smaller amount from the love this whole crowd. This show has fast become my TV girlfriend. My TV girlfriend. Thank you for doing it right. From every single fan, you changed our life. You got the best job in the world. Thank you for doing it right. From every single fan, you changed our lives. You make us feel like our voices are heard. Sing it all, sing it loud. Sing a song or sing it out. You give us something to talk about. So thank you for doing it right. Every single fan changed our lives. So because you're right for the most beautiful girl on TV. Had to do it. Because you're right for the most beautiful girl on TV.
Woo!
It's for you, Jason Rothenberg, and a little bit for you, Lindsay Morgan, but I had to do it.
That was great. That was great. And now I really hope that Jason, Ricky, Lindsay, all of you come and join us here. Join us here on the panel and, maybe sing a song with us too, whatever. But really get into these characters that we love so much and the story that we're sharing with all of our audience right now.
We would absolutely love to host actually any member of the cast. We just love this show. I'm a huge fan at this point. Obviously, Lindsay Morgan will hold a special place in our heart here at the show. But Rothenberg, if you want to come on the show, or Whittle, anybody,
anyone,
we love you. So we will host you. We'll bring the pizza. Whatever you want to do.
Popcorn.
Yeah, exactly. So as always, you guys can find me on Twitter at Ben_Bateman and Instagram at Ben Bateman Media. Just hit me up, Vivian.
And you can find me, Vivian Adoabi, at _vivaciouslyv on Twitter and on Instagram. Also, vivaciouslyvivian.com and poshboyspolish.com. Please tweet us, Instagram message, YouTube comments, interact with us so we can interact with you all.
Yeah, we'll share this. We will share this portion, the song, and all that, the shout outs. Tweet it at those people and get them on the show with us to come hang out. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for watching.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.